Welcome back to a new session on the MOOC on information security. Today we will discuss the Orange Book. We were talking about security of information and the system which handles this information. But it will be helpful if there is a standardized set of criteria which defines the procedure to ensure security in systems. Yes, there is one called the Orange Book. So, the objectives of this module are to define Orange Book, to discuss the objectives and requirements of Orange Book, and to explain the structure of Orange Book. What is Orange Book? The Orange Book is a name given to the Defense Department's Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria, a book published in 1985. This book specified criteria for assessing the security of different security systems specifically for use in the government procurement process. Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria (TCS-EC) is a United States Government Department of Defense (DoD) standard that sets basic requirements for assessing the effectiveness of computer security controls built into a computer system. The TCS-EC was used to evaluate, classify and select computer systems being considered for the processing, storage and retrieval of sensitive or confidential information. On 24th October 2002, the Orange Book, also known as the DoD 5200.28 standard, was cancelled by DoD 8500.1 but was later reissued as DoDI 8500.02 on 14th March 2014. Let's have a quick view of the history of Orange Book. In October 1967, a task force was assembled under the auspices of the Defense Science Board to address computer security safeguards that would protect confidential information in remote access, resource sharing computer systems. The task force report, Security Controls for Computer Systems, published in February 1970, made a number of policy and technical recommendations on actions to be taken to reduce the threat of compromise of classified information processed on remote access computer systems. Concurrent with DoD efforts to address computer security issues, work was begun under the leadership of the National Bureau of Standards (NBS) to define problems and solutions for building, evaluating and auditing secure computer systems. As part of this work, NBS held 2 invitational workshops on the subject of audit and evaluation of computer security. The first was held in March 1977 and the second in November of 1978. One of the products of the second workshop was a definitive paper on the problems related to providing criteria for the evaluation of technical computer security effectiveness. As an outgrowth of recommendations from this report and in support of the DoD Computer Security Initiative, the MITRE Corporation began work on a set of computer security evaluation criteria that could be used to assess the degree of trust one could place in a computer system to protect classified data. The DoD Computer Security Center, or the Center, was formed in January 1981 to staff and expand on the work started by the DoD Computer Security Initiative. A major goal of the Center, as given in its DoD charter, is to encourage the widespread availability of trusted computer systems for use by those who process confidential or other sensitive information. 2 distinct sets of requirements are included, such as specific security feature requirements and assurance requirements. The Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria will be used directly and indirectly in the certification process. Along with applicable policy, it will be used directly as technical guidance for evaluation of the total system and for specifying system security and certification requirements for new acquisitions. Fundamental objectives and requirements. 6 fundamental requirements are derived from the basic statement of objective. 4 deal with what needs to be provided to control access to information, and 2 deal with how one can obtain credible assurances that this is accomplished in a trusted computer system. Let us discuss each one of these in detail. Security policy. The computer system must explicitly state, clearly define and enforce the security policy. Any system must enforce mandatory security policy which requires no person missing proper personal security clearance shall obtain access to confidential information. And another is discretionary security controls are required to ensure that only selected users or groups of users may obtain access to data based on identified individuals who have been determined to have a need to know for information. Other indirect factors are physical and environmental. This policy must also accurately reflect the laws, general policies and other relevant guidance from which the rules are derived. Second one is marking. Access control labels must be associated with objects. It must be possible to mark every object with a label that accurately identifies the object's sensitivity level, for example, classification, and or the modes of access granted those subjects who may potentially access the object in order to control access to information stored in a computer as per the rules of a mandatory security policy. Third one is identification. Individual subjects must be identified. Each access to information must be mediated based on who is accessing the information and what classes of information they are authorized to deal with. This identification and authorization information must be securely maintained by the computer system and be associated with every active element that performs some security relevant action in the system. Fourth one is accountability. Individual accountability regardless of policy must be enforced. A secure means must exist to ensure the access of an authorized and competent agent that can then evaluate the accountability information within a reasonable amount of time and without undue difficulty. The accountability objective includes 3 requirements. First one is identification. The process used to recognize an individual user. Second one is authentication. The verification of an individual user's authorization to specific categories of information. The last one is auditing. Audit information must be selectively kept and protected so that actions affecting security can be traced to the authenticated individual. The fifth one is assurance. The computer system must contain hardware or software mechanisms that can be independently evaluated to provide sufficient assurance that the system enforces the above requirements. By extension, assurance must include a guarantee that the trusted portion of the system works only as intended. To accomplish these objectives, 2 types of assurance are needed with their respective elements. Hence, the assurance mechanisms are operational assurance, system architecture, system integrity, covered channel analysis, trusted facility management, and trusted recovery. The lifecycle assurance include security testing, design specification and verification, configuration management, and trusted system distribution. Continuous protection assurance. The trusted mechanism that enforce these basic requirements must be continuously protected against tampering or unauthorized changes. No computer system can be considered truly secure if the basic hardware and software mechanisms that enforce the security policy are themselves subject to unauthorized modification or subversion. The continuous protection requirement has direct implications throughout the computer system's life cycle. Now we will see the structure of the document. The Orange Book is divided into 2 parts, 4 appendices and a glossary. Part 1, that is sections 1 to 4, presents the detailed criteria derived from the fundamental requirements described above. Part 2, sections 5 through 10, provides a discussion of basic objectives, rationale and national policy behind the development of the criteria and guidelines for developers pertaining to mandatory access control rules implementation, the covered channel problem and security testing. It is divided into 6 sections. Section 5 discusses the use of control objectives in general and presents the 3 basic control objectives of the criteria. Section 6 provides the theoretical basis behind the criteria. Section 7 gives excerpts from pertinent regulations, directives, OMB circulars and executive orders which provide the basis for many trust requirements for processing nationally sensitive and classified information with computer systems. Section 8 provides guidance to system developers on expectations in dealing with the covered channel problem. Section 9 provides guidelines dealing with mandatory security. Section 10 provides guidelines for security testing. There are 4 appendices including a description of the trusted computer system, commercial products evaluation process Appendix A, summaries of the evaluation divisions Appendix B and classes in Appendix C, and finally a directory of requirements ordered alphabetically. In addition, there is a glossary. We will have a quick tour on the various divisions and classes defined in the Orange Book. Divisions and classes. The TCS EC defines 4 divisions A, B, C and D, where division A has the highest security. Each division represents a significant difference in the trust an individual or organization can place on the evaluated system. Additionally, divisions C, B and A are broken into a series of hierarchical subdivisions called classes C1, C2, B1, B2, B3 and A1. Each division and class expands or modifies as indicated the requirements of the immediately prior division or class. D. Minimal protection. Reserved for those systems that have been evaluated but that fail to meet the requirements for a higher division. C. Discretionary protection. The subdivisions are C1 discretionary security protection. Classes in this division provide for discretionary or need to know protection and through the inclusion of audit capabilities for accountability of subjects and the actions they initiate. C2 controlled access protection. Systems in this class enforce a more finely grained discretionary access control than C1 systems, making users individually accountable for their actions through login procedures, auditing or security relevant events and resource isolation. B. Mandatory protection. The notion of a TCB that preserves the integrity of sensitivity labels and uses them to enforce a set of mandatory access control rules is a major requirement in this division. Systems in this division must carry the sensitivity labels with major data structures in the system. The system developer also provides the security policy model on which the TCB is based and furnishes a specification of the TCB. Evidence must be provided to demonstrate that the reference monitor concept has been implemented. The subdivisions and important concepts in each of them are B1 labeled security protection, informal statement of the security policy model, data sensitivity labels and design specification and verification. B2 structured protection, security policy model clearly defined and formally documented, carefully structured into protection critical and non-protection critical elements. Design and implementation enable more comprehensive testing and review. An example of such a system was Multics. B3 security domains. This satisfies reference monitor requirements structured to exclude code not essential to security policy enforcement, significant system engineering directed toward minimizing complexity, and security administrator role is defined. A. Verified protection. A1 is verified design, functionally identical to B3. Formal design and verification techniques including a formal top level specification. Formal management and distribution procedures. Examples of A1 class systems are Honeywell's SCOM, ASIC's JumpSource and Boeing's SNS server. Two that were unevaluated were the production of Lock platform and the cancelled DEC WAG security kernel. Beyond A1, system architecture demonstrates that the requirements of self-protection and completeness for reference monitors have been implemented in the Trusted Computing Base or TCB. Security testing automatically generates test case from the format top level specification or formal lower level specifications. Formal specifications and verification is where the TCB is verified down to the source code level, using formal verification methods where feasible. Trusted design environment is where the TCB is designed in a trusted facility with only trusted or cleared personnel. Hope this session will help you to know the important concepts covered in the Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria, commonly referred to as the Orange Book. This document is freely available at https://csrc.nist.gov. The Orange Book was an abstract and concise description of computer security requirements which helps developers to get an insight on the vital areas to be considered. Hope you enjoyed this session. See you next time. Bye.